You've been assigned the task of article writing. On behalf of your employer, I'm going to walk you through the exact steps to complete this task. Take note of the keyword assigned for this article. We will be writing an article around this keyword. The next thing we need to do is open up Weebox.com. If you don't already have an account, create a free account at Weebox.com. That's OUIBOX.com. And once you log in, we're going to be going to the We Write section. Next, we need to select Blog Article. Next, you need to select one of the article templates below. For this example, we're going to be using the step-by-step article template. You can find that below. There are several different templates we can use, but for this example, we're just going to use this step-by-step article template. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to create a title for the article. Now in this example, there's two possible titles that we could use using this template. How to perform this task in so many numbers of steps, or 7 steps to perform this task. So for this example, we're going to stick with our tomato garden or tomato gardening type of niche, and we're going to create a title saying how to grow tomatoes in so many steps. Let's say 5 steps. So I'm going to use this template here. I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to go back to WeWrite and select blog article and enter this title. Now, how should we format this document? We're going to select none. And you don't need to put in your first name, middle name, last name. None of this is important. The main thing we want is the title. So we're going to put in the title. And this article, I'm going to say how to grow tomatoes in just 5. And I'm going to add easy steps. And click Save. Now, WeWrite is a very interesting application, and it helps us do some things a lot faster than what we do it manually. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to paste in our title once more. And you saw that it gave an error message. I tried to right-click and paste. It wouldn't allow me to do that, so I had to use Command V, which is paste. Command C is copy. So how to grow tomatoes in just 5 easy steps. That's the name of our article. And I really have no idea how to grow tomatoes in 5 easy steps, but this module is going to show you how, without any knowledge about the topic, you're going to be able to write good articles. Now, the main thing about writing a title for an article is we want to ensure that it has a benefit and it arouses curiosity in the reader. So let's go back to some of the other templates just so I can show you the different types of titles that we have. And there's going to be several templates available below that are not going to be included in the document that I'm showing you in this video. So here's an article template. It's the How to Survive article template. And some examples of titles are How to Survive Bankruptcy, How to Survive a Stressful Day, How to Survive a Difficult Boss. This is a good title. It's a benefit because it's teaching you how to do something, and then it's arousing curiosity because if you relate to that stressful day or difficult boss, it's going to arouse your curiosity. Another good article template that we have is called The Most Common Mistakes. For example, the 5 most common mistakes made on the first date, the top mistakes made when building your home, the 3 favorite mistakes of online marketers, 3 favorite mistakes of online marketers, the 10 most common pitfalls for new parents. This is also a good title. It provides the benefit and it arouses curiosity. So all templates will have a title that fits this criteria, and it will have some type of fill in the blank. For this one, it's how to perform this mundane task and reach this rewarding benefit. So you have to plug in these things. For example, how to get a mortgage. Mortgage is a mundane task, and then the reward is that it saves you a lot of money. How to get a mortgage that cuts your monthly payment in half. How to get a mortgage that gets you in your dream home while saving you $937 a month. That's the type of title we're looking for this template. And the don't template. So don't let retirement be your worst years. Don't lose the love of your life. Don't let the IRS have more than they deserve. Don't let the sun go down on me. So these are great title templates. You just need to copy and paste them, and then you need to include the keyword and then come up with a benefit for that title. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do, now that we have the title in place, is we're going to go back to our template and we're going to copy the rest of the template, and this is how we're going to actually form the article. Now before we move on, I want to show you what every article should have included. So here is what every article is going to have. This is the basic structure of every article. Even using the article templates, they have this structure. So we've already taken care of the title, and that needs to include our keyword. Then the intro. Tell them what you're going to tell them about that article. So the intro is telling them what we're going to tell them. Also a good place to include our keyword. In the body, we actually tell them what we promised we were going to tell them in the introduction and in the title. And then in the summary, we tell them what we already told them. That's basically it. I know that sounds a little silly, but that's basically the whole anatomy of an article. And then at the end, we have our resource box, which actually has the links to the websites with the keywords. So that's the anatomy of an article. Let's move back to the article template, and we'll start going through and writing this article about how to grow tomatoes in 5 easy steps. Now we're using the Chrome browser because this is a tab browser. We're going to be opening several tabs, and we're going to be using something called a chunking process. A chunking process is basically we're going to be visiting several different websites related to the keywords we're searching for. We're going to find other articles about how to grow tomatoes. We're going to find other websites talking about how to grow tomatoes, and we're going to take chunks of their content and we're going to paste it into this document. So that's the first step that we're going to do. Now, WeWrite makes this really simple because as we write, we just click this Genius tab right here, and it pulls up this little box. And if I were to highlight Grow Tomatoes with the Genius turned on, it now goes and searches Google. We'll begin searching other search engines as well. And to visit these websites, we just need to click on the title. So we can click on this title, and it will open in a new tab. So we can go through here and start doing our research. So this makes things a lot easier. We're not constantly going back to the search engines and typing in the keywords. We can do it as we write. So in this template, we want an introduction, and that's describing the result. Then we're going to give steps, and then we're going to have a summary. And the resource box we will add at the end. Something to mention is all the articles that we write are going to be between 500 and 700 words. They could be a little bit longer than 700 words, but on average they're going to be between 500 and 700 words. So that gives you an idea of what we're shooting for. And you'll notice that WeBox has a nice thing to tell us when we've reached 500 words. Down here, currently on this page, 36 words just from the title and the template. Now we don't want to include the words from the title because that's not going to be counted in the article. But as we write, you see that the number of words increase. So that gives us an easy indicator of how far along we are into the article writing process. Okay, so the first thing is the introduction, and we're going to describe the result. Now, to get the article started, I'm simply going to reword the title and describe exactly what we're going to teach them in this article. So okay, and I'm going to highlight the keyword steps to growing tomatoes. And then we're going to start opening some tabs. So it pulls up all these search results, and we have big tomato growing step by step, how to grow a tomato plant. And I'm going to go through in here, I'm going to open up a bunch of different browsers because we're going to get chunks from several different sources, and that's the first step. 3 easy steps to growing perfect tomatoes. We can look at what they have there. Growing tomatoes and tomato growing tips. And simple steps to growing tomatoes. So we'll look at these different articles and see what we can gather from them. The thing that we're looking for is the actual steps to perform this. So I'm going to read through here and see if I can't find basic steps and see what we can copy from here. Okay, so there are many different varieties that come in many different colors, grow in different shapes and sizes, and many different flavors. So, I mean, that's a good part for an introduction. I'm going to copy that, put that over here, and then I'm going to go back and look through here and look for the steps. So, and this says the best method, and we'll see if we can include that in some way. I'm just copying this here because we're going to be rewording this later to make sure that this is original. This is to give us our base content. Plant seeds in pea pods or plugs, and then they're going to need lots of water. So in step 1, now one thing that I don't like about WeWrite is that it's giving us this formatting, and we're going to have to basically copy and paste this out of WeWrite at the end and copy it back in to get it cleaned up. All right, let's continue. So let's see what else we can get. So it needs a good deal of sunlight. Plant your tomatoes in a hole 2 inches or deeper. Okay, a trick to prevent tomato worms from getting to your plants is to wrap bottom of the stems. Okay, people like to have tricks, and they like to know the ins and outs of things. So this is a good one. And that will save people from getting bugs on their tomatoes. Let's see what the main steps that we have left. Okay, so this is broken down into 3 nice steps. Okay, so we have pre-planting preparation. That's a good label for our first step. Now, if it's a little messy when you're copy and pasting, don't worry, because we're going to go back through and we're going to clean this whole document up at the end. Okay, so tomato planting's another good heading, and we're going to break this into 5 steps in some way. Okay, I just changed the font size just so it's easier for me to read. Okay, tomato planting. Once the dangers of frost is past, the tomato plants or seeds may be placed. Okay, this is good. It tells the exact pH of the soil. Okay, so this is a good chunk to include here. Now you see that we already have 236 words. We are still just getting started. Okay, caring for tomatoes during the season. Okay, so I'm going to go on to our next sources, see if we can find any more. Okay, so here's 3 easy steps right here. Plant a tomato seed, stake it, and water it. So that's a good breakdown, but I think we can elaborate even more. So we have Three is stake it. I don't even know what that means. We'll find out here in a moment. Water it. And let's just have fun and say number 5 is eat it. So those are our steps as of right now. Let's go back here. Okay, so what was once step 1 is now step 2. And we want to plant a tomato seedling in pea pods or plugs so they don't. Okay, so that's where we're at there. Let's go back to that article and see what staking it is. Okay, so a stake is essentially a stick that you put in the ground so that you can have somewhere for the tomatoes to grow on. And it seems that this is a trick to get a lot more tomatoes and decrease the chances of disease because the tomatoes are not laying on the ground. So this is pretty important stuff. Okay, so this seems like a good chunk here. So I'm going to copy that and go back to the article. Let's go after tomato planting. We're going to add in okay, so this looks like it would go well under the same heading, caring for tomatoes during the season. And let's see, this talks about helps prevent water loss. Okay, so this goes hand in hand with that little chunk. Okay, so this is a good chunk. This is important stuff. So we are going to put this chunk here. You have the option not to use WeWrite. WeWrite is just great because, for example, if I need more research, I can just highlight and it's going to go do searches. And we can see the Backyard Gardeners Network, and we can go find more resources for chunks. As of right now, we have 519 words, and we're going to keep going because we're going to edit this down, and we're going to reword this into our own words. We're just going to be using the basic concepts that was in the chunks. So we are not going to be plagiarizing. I want to make that clear. This is not about plagiarizing. This is about going and doing research and then chunking it into one document. Okay, so let's go back. Let's see. So that was a good one. Conclusion. So here's a good conclusion. All right, I like this sentence. I'm just going to copy that sentence just to give, so I remember to include something related to that. All right, let's go to eHow. They have a lot of stuff. How to grow tomatoes organically. And this even lists the steps. So let's look at what they have for steps. Okay, so this is important. Select a sunny site. That would go in the preparation. Okay, so here's a good one. This is very relevant. To stake without damaging tender stems, wrap cotton ties around the tomato stake first. Okay, so we're going to add that to our... Because anytime you have tidbits like that, that really adds depth to the article, and it looks like it's written from an expert. Okay, so we're going to add this to the staking section. So we're up to 589 words. We're going to keep going through these articles that we've looked through. All right, here's a nice part to add to the intro. It's got some good language there that I think would add to our article. Okay, so let's look at the steps that they have. So you see they skip a lot of the steps in this when they say buy small tomatoes that have already been started to grow, but that's not what we're going to do. We're going to write this article as if people are starting from the seed. Okay, so this is interesting. Grow 2 plants for each member of the family who will eat lots of tomatoes as a rule of thumb. That's rules of thumb, also great to add. We're going to put that in the preparation section because that, I think, is a great little tip for people to know so they know how big of a tomato garden they want to grow. All right, here's another thing, spacing of the tomatoes. So I think that's important to add when planting. Okay, so this gives us a rule of thumb of how much water when we tell the step of watering. As you see, I'm not reading everything in these articles. I'm just scanning through to find tidbits and chunks that we can use. I do want to do one more search because the last step is to actually eat them. I'm going to find... Let's say that this article is going to lead people to a website that has recipes and stuff, or it's a gardening website and we do have some recipes. But let's highlight tomato recipe or eating tomatoes. And I think something about the health benefits would be nice to add, the amazing health benefits of the tomato. So this would round out the article even more. So let's just look at these 3 articles and see what we can grab for that final step. Benefits of eating tomatoes. Okay. All right, let's copy this chunk because I think that's a great ending. And tomatoes help prevent sunburn. So that's... Okay, so this is what the headline said. Eating tomatoes can prevent sunburn. I like that. I'm going to copy that. And then we're going to get the details, and then we're going to go back and we're going to rewrite this article. All right, so we're going to use this in the article as well. And we'll do a quick check here. And I think that we got the main benefits, which are that it can help prevent sunburn. It also protects against cancer, especially prostate cancer. So let's close down these windows. I'm going to open up a text document, and we're going to clean this document up. Okay, so we can close out the Genius. We've already done our research. We don't even have to use WeWrite anymore. And in fact, you don't have to use WeWrite at all. But I find that it's a nice little tool to have. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to open my text file. I'm going to paste it. And once I have it in a text file, I can start to clean it up some. So we have our title. And we've already used our format. So we're going to break this down. And before we copied it out, you see we had 709 words. We're going to edit that down. It's going to be a little bit less, and we can check that at the end. Okay, so let's go through here and get this reworded into our own words. So as we write, we're going to have the paragraph that we've copied, and then we're going to write a new paragraph above it. Now I wrote that first part anyway, so ever wanted to know the steps to growing tomatoes. Luckily, tomatoes simply grow. They come in many shapes, sizes, flavors. Come in many shapes, sizes, colors, and flavors. All right. So let's learn how to grow some sweet, juicy tomatoes in 5 easy steps. Okay, so it has the same information. I reworded it. You know, there's certain bits that I took 2 or 3 word phrases that I liked the way they sounded. You just don't want to directly plagiarize. Don't copy this exact sentence. Everything needs to be reworded so it's unique. If you can use different language, use synonyms, that's good. All right, so we're done with that. I'm just going to delete that and move on. So I like these steps listed here. We're going to leave that for this article. So in step 1, we need to prepare a garden to grow tomatoes. The best way to do this, begin 6 weeks. A good rule of thumb is to plant 2 tomato plants per family member. This will give you loads of juicy tomatoes for everyone in the house. Okay, so let's see. Gardeners work with soil several weeks. You want to begin to prep the soil and break up large clumps of dirt, remove garbage, and make sure you pick a spot with lots. Make sure to pick a spot with lots of light and that's easy to water. All right, so that's step 1. So I can delete all of this. Next, we need to plant the tomato seedling. I recommend you use a peat pot or plug so you don't have to worry about them being damaged when planting. See how I use damaged instead of disturbed? That's just a synonym that works in this sentence, and that makes it unique. New seedlings will need lots of water, but not soaking. Tomatoes really like well-drained soil with a pH between 6 and 7. That's just a technical detail. It just adds some credibility to the article. To allow for this, plant the tomatoes 6 inches high and space the plants 18 to 36 inches apart. Okay, so that's what we're going to do for step 2. That's a good summary for this article. And then step 3 is stake it. Now that they start to bloom, we want to stake them. Since we have a garden, the tomato plants have nowhere to climb, unlike in the wild. So I'm rewording this sentence. In the wild, tomato bushes will naturally flop over because their stems are inadequate to hold the weight of the fruit. With a stake, we can provide a structure for the plants to grow, and this decreases chances of disease and will give us loads of tomatoes for the whole family to enjoy. That's just to add a little personality to the writing. A little tip: Wrap cotton around stake first to give the tomato plant stem something to catch on. All right, that's our third step, and now we are on step 4. Now all we need to do is start watering our tomato plants regularly. Of course, this is common sense, but even gardeners forget to water their plants and leave it up to Mother Nature. I don't know that. That's just what I would think. Again, use your own. When you're rewriting this, you have to use your own vocabulary. The simplest way to write is write how you talk. Water the tomato plants. Okay, so that's what we got for that step. Finally, it's time to eat. Not only is tomato gardening lots of fun, tastes great, but it actually could save your life. Okay, that's a bold statement, but with the cancer prevention benefits, tomatoes are great cancer fighters. And they will even prevent you from getting a sunburn next time you are at the beach. Plus, due to the lycopene, you will have more elastic and younger looking skin. The reason I say elastic and younger looking is I know what collagen does. I know that personally, so even better skin and have more collagen prevents sagging. So if it's elastic, it's going to prevent sagging. So plus due to the lycopene, you will have more elastic and younger looking skin. As I like to say, a tomato a day keeps the doctor away. Put that in quotes. And that's just a hokey spin on an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But we would like to have personality wherever we can. Okay, so that is our article. For the next step, we're going to copy and paste this into a Google document, and we're going to use this to check the spelling, see if we got any grammar issues, and then we're going to check the word count, make sure that we've hit the goal word count, and see if we need to add anything. So let's go to Google Docs, and we're going to create a new document. I have one here. Simply going to right click, and I'm going to Command V, which is paste, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to check my spelling. I'm going to change all my horrible spelling. Let's see. Something to keep in mind, it's always best to edit at the end. So if you're actually writing, just keep writing and then fix it later. That way you don't interrupt your creative process. Lycopene, that is a technical term that's not going to be in the dictionary. Okay, so let's look at the word count. We can go to Tools, Word Count, and I'm at 419. So I need about 81 words to get this to the goal. So let's see what we can add. It's good to read the article aloud, because once you read it aloud, you will find that you get more ideas of what you can add to it, and also you get ideas of what is obviously wrong with the article. So everyone wants to know the steps to growing tomatoes. Luckily, tomatoes are simple to grow. They come in many shapes, sizes, colors, and different flavors. They look good and taste great, especially on a fresh burger off the grill. So let's learn how to grow some sweet, juicy tomatoes in 5 easy steps. So here are the steps to growing a tomato. 1. Preparation. 2. Plant a tomato seedling. 3. Stake it. 4. Water it. And 5. Eat it. Step 1. We need to prepare our garden to grow tomatoes. The best way to do this is to begin 6 weeks in advance. A good rule of thumb is to plant 2 tomato plants per family member. This will give loads of juicy tomatoes for everyone in the house to enjoy. You want to begin to prep the soil and break up any large clumps of dirt, remove garbage or debris, and add some light soil. Make sure to pick a spot with lots of sunlight and that's easy to water. Next, we need to plant the tomato seedlings. I recommend you use a pea pot or plug so you don't have to worry about them being damaged when planting. New seedlings will need lots of water but not soaking wet. Tomatoes really like well-drained soil with a pH between 6 and 7. To allow for this, plant the tomatoes 6 inch high and space the plants 18 to 36 inches apart. Now that we have planted our tomatoes and they start to bloom, we want to stake them. Since we have a garden, the tomato plants have nowhere to climb, unlike in the wild. With a stake, we can provide a structure for plants to grow, and this decreases chance of disease and will give loads of tomatoes for the whole family to enjoy. A little tip, wrap cotton around the stakes first to give the tomato stems somewhere to catch on. You will soon see the tomato plant climb up the stake and green tomato bulbs to appear. Now all we need to do is start watering our tomato plants regularly. Of course, this is common sense, but even experienced gardeners forget to water their plants and leave it up to Mother Nature. Water the tomato plants regularly, twice per day, especially after they are first transplanted. Finally, it's time to eat. Not only is tomato gardening lots of fun, tastes great, but it actually could save your life. Tomatoes are great cancer fighters, and they even prevent you from getting a sunburn next time you're at the beach. Plus, due to the lycopene, you will have more elastic and younger looking skin. As I like to say, a tomato a day keeps the doctor away. Have fun. Good luck with your tomato garden. Okay, let's see what our word count is. We've probably got a lot closer. Okay, we're at 473, and that is good enough for this example. Now that we've edited this article, we're going to copy it back into the text editor. When working with our articles, we're always working in text, so we're going to copy this, and we're going to copy the new edited version. Now, at the end of each paragraph or line, we want to make sure we use the enter bar. That's very important because when we submit these to these sites, they read that enter, and it provides for the proper spacing. So now we need to go and check for plagiarism. And the easiest way to do this is we can just go over to Google and find a website to check for plagiarism. And we have the first result for check plagiarism in Google is plagiarism.net. And we're going to visit that website and we're going to use their simple tool and it will check. We're going to check Google to see if we have any plagiarism. Now, we just rewrote this by hand, so we should not have any plagiarism. But it's always good, and we want to verify. So I'm going to copy this article in here. And we're going to select Google and check duplicate content, and we're going to click the button, and it's going to start working. And it's going to take a little bit because it's going through and checking all the different search results and seeing if this is coming up as duplicate content. So it's going line by line, checking the sentences and doing searches to see if this is copied. Now, optionally, we also can save the text file on our computer and then choose the file and upload it, and it will just check it through that means. I find that it's easy just to copy and paste the text into this little box. So this may take several minutes to process. Just wait for it to process and then revisit. Okay, so our result just popped up, and we're going to scroll through here, and you can see we have lots of unique. Now, for different words, obviously those are going to have some results, but the sentences, that's what we're looking to be unique. Okay, so this is very unique, 96% originality. All right, so that is good. We are there, and this even creates a PDF with the results. So plagiarism.net, that is the site that we're going to use, and you can even get a free account here. So now that we have a unique article, the next step is to add the resource box. Okay, so if you haven't been provided with a resource box, I'm going to show you a simple way to write one. So for this example, I'm going to use the resource box template, and it's very simple. There's some more templates below for you to select. Remember, this article is being written by you using one of the personas, recommending a site that belongs to someone else. It's not a website that you own, but a website that you're recommending. So you need to keep that in mind when writing these resource boxes, because that's the tone. Also, the resource box is where we get the backlinks, so we need to make sure that we have proper anchor text in the resource box. So for this example, we are going to have, did you find those tips on growing tomatoes useful? Let's say that is our keyword. You can learn a lot more about how to grow tomatoes by going here. So the first anchor text we're going to use is growing tomatoes. We're going to use one more, which is how to grow tomatoes. That's what we want to become clickable. So I'm going to copy these, and I'm going to replace where we had the keyword. And I'm going to do the same here for the last one. So now you see we have a resource box. Once this is inputted into one of the article directories or we use it for whatever purpose, this will become anchor text. This XYZ domain would be the actual website where we want to send the backlink to. Growing tomatoes is the anchor text. It will display in the browser as just a keyword that's underlined in blue. So we have now successfully created one article, how to grow tomatoes in 5 easy steps with the proper resource box. Now the next step is to repeat steps 1 through 7 for as many articles that you've been assigned. Now once you master this process, it should take you no longer than 20 minutes to write one good article. Using the chunking rewrite process and using the tools that we've talked about in this video, the goal is to get to where you can write an article in around 20 minutes. The final step is to submit a report and upload the files in .txt format to the Dropbox. You need to submit a report with the following. Title: I have written X number of articles and submitted them to the Dropbox. In the description, put, I have written the following articles. All are unique in content and have passed the plagiarism test. They have been uploaded to the Dropbox. And then include the titles of each article, 1 per line. You have now completed this assignment and can move on to the next task.